Today, I will be using a full team of Pokemon based on characters from She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Special thanks to Astralilium for the team idea. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a She-Ra team. This is a bit of a longer video, probably the longest video that I've uploaded, so grab yourself a snack or some drinks, and I have two interesting battles to showcase for you all, and I hope you enjoy them. So I'm going to lead things off with my Entrapta. I'm doing this team for Pride Month, by the way, because there's a lot of LGBT rep in this series, and Entrapta here is actually autism rep, and hey, I'm autistic, that's pretty neat. So this is a dual screens Tinkaton. I'm actually not running a Gigaton Hammer or any like offensive move. I am running a move though, you'll see that later. So I'm just going to set up my dual screens versus this Zapdos. I might as well get them up while I can. I know that I could probably tank a Heat Wave from this Zapdos if it was more of a defensive set, which I do, but I get burned unfortunately. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm not running spoiler alert, I'm not running a physical move on this. It says pretty wild. So I'm going to swap out my Entrapta here. I was like, well, I got my screens up. I could probably safely swap into my Ceruledge here in case they do want to go for Hurricane, anticipating my swap into this. Otherwise, I'm going to get that Flash Fire boost with the Heat Wave. So I was running a Choice Scarf Shadow Weaver. By the way, this Pokemon and Shadow Weaver look almost alike. So I get barely close to taking out the Zapdos. I was like, oh man, that was close. I do get a burn though. But like I get hit with a lot of recoil damage and Rocky Helmet and the Hurricane. So all of that damage is almost going to be enough to take me out, which is unfortunate. And the burn is barely going to miss the KO on the Zapdos. I was like, wow, that was not a really fun exchange. Like I could stay in and Flare Blitz, but then I would lose my Ceruledge, and I really needed that for one of the Pokemon in the back. So unfortunately, the Zapdos is going to boost on my swap, and I was like, damn. I do have this Catra here for Torracat. This is also a Choice Scarf Pokemon on this team, and I'm running a special one. So this is a Fire Blast, Parting Shot, Endeavor, and Terra Blast Fairy Torracat. I'm going to be able to take out the Zapdos with the Burn and the Fire Blast chip, so that's nice. They're probably running like a more like defensive Zapdos rather than a specially defensive one, because they tanked the Flash Fire booster Flare Blitz from Ceruledge. That was crazy. So in comes Blaziken. I was like, well, I could wall this Pokemon's dual stats with my Ceruledge, so they go for the fighting move. I was like, this is nice. But actually, they had Brick Break for my screens. That's actually crazy. So I have a Choice Scarf on this Pokemon as well. I actually had double Choice Scarf because this team was actually meant for like legendary Pokemon, because I have a Zacian on this team. So the Blaziken is going to take me out with the Thunder Punch, which is great because I went for the Destiny Bond, the cheeky Destiny Bond KO. I was really worried that they would go for like Swords Dance or like Protect to scout what I do, because that's what all Blaziken pretty much do. But thankfully they take themselves out, which is great. That's a really problematic Pokemon that I just got rid of. So in comes the Terrapago, speaking of legendaries, and I was like, okay, this is actually really nice because I could take this Pokemon down a lot with the Endeavor. So I'm going to go for that Endeavor, which is going to ignore the Terra Shell ability, which is nice. They're going to take me out with the Earth Power, but I got a lot of good chip damage on them. So I was like, well, that's my Torracat down, but I can swap in my Decidueye here for Bow after this. There goes one of my screens, but into Decidueye here. Now, this is a Swords Dance Decidueye. I'm actually running a Custap Berry on this with Spirit Shackle, you know, because it's like the Bow move for Bow, obviously. I really wish I ran Poltergeist, though. That would have been really helpful. I also have a Leaf Bladed Low Kick on this. Now, the Terrapagos terastallizes into its Stellar form. That sucks because that's going to allow them to actually gain an HP boost, which allows them to live. And I just get cooked by Ice Beam. What, cooked by Ice Cream? Wait, did I just say cooked by Ice Cream? Anyway, into my Zacian here. I had to do it for this. It just seems like a perfect Pokemon for Adora. Although, in hindsight, I probably should have named this She-Ra, because that's who she transforms into when Adora gets the Sword of Protection. But like, it's Adora at the end of the day, right? And like, I thought this Pokemon was like perfect because Zacian is also a Pokemon that transforms once you give it like a sword. So it was like fitting. So I'm gonna take out the Terrapagos, and the Solgaleo comes in. So I'm running a crazy set on this. This is So I had to have Behemoth Blade because obviously, you know, she uses sword, right? And I have Terra Blast Ground on this, so I'm going to go for that Terra Blast Ground versus the Solgaleo. And man, it's gonna do a lot of damage versus it. It doesn't take it out though, thanks to Solgaleo's natural bulk. They're gonna go for the Earthquake here, and that does a good chunk of damage to me. Like under half my health though, but still like very close to half. They're gonna be the leftover Solgaleo, so I was like, well, that would explain why they live. Like maybe they're running more of a bulky one. So I'm gonna take them out with the Behemoth Blade. I'm running a Sword Dance on this, and I'm running Terrablast Ground, Behemoth Blade, and Imprisoned. So the idea of Imprisoned, if you don't know what Imprisoned does, it essentially blocks your opponent from using the same moves as you. So say if I was facing against an opposing Zacian, I could go for the Imprison, and the Zacian wouldn't be able to Sword Dance or go for Behemoth Blade or Terra Blast if they wanted to be cheeky. I'm running a Terra Blast Ground for Miraidon. So there goes my my damn Zacian to the Suicune Skull. I was like, wow, yeah, this Pokemon was a problem, but I really didn't have a lot of switch-ins to it, so like I wanted to get as much chip damage as I possibly could versus it. So into my Tinkaton here, I was like, well, might as well set up my light screen while I can. Assuming that this Pokemon might start setting up Calm Minds, which I was more than likely thinking that they might do that. And yeah, it's gonna be a Calm Mind Suicune. Now, I wasn't sure if they were like bulky, like Calm Mind, with like max defense, or like, you know, like Calm Mind, Scald, Rest, Sleep Talk, or if they were like an offensive Calm Mind Suicune. So they took out my Zacian without any Calm Mind boost, which is pretty heinous. So I'm gonna get burned there. I was like, well, there's no point in me setting up Reflect because the last Pokemon is Dragapult, and Dragapult has Infiltrator, which is an ability that could allow them to ignore like the defense increase from like the screens. So the screen, what? I almost called this thing Screencoon. That's crazy. Dude, that's a Gen 10 variant. So the Suicune is gonna continue setting up Calm Minds, obviously, versus me. Now, I was like, well, I don't obviously want to switch out into my last Pokemon, which is my Cresselia, hard into this. So I'm just gonna go for the Steel Beam. I'm running Steel Beam on this. This is so that I could have like a move where I could set up the dual screens and then take myself out instantly, so I could have a free switch into one of my other Pokemon. So I was like, okay, well, I have a free swap into my Demon Cresselia here against the leftover Suicune. It's paralyzed. I decided to paralyze it just in case like it was an offensive Suicune. So into an offensive Suicune without rest. So into Glimmer for Cresselia. I thought that the color schemes matched her very well. Also, but the fact that she's like, what is it? Like the guardian of like the Moonstone. You know, Cresselia is a very moon-based Pokemon. I was torn between like Diancie and like Clefable, because Clefable also has a connection with the moon. I even considered a Cosmog. Yeah, Cosmog. That would have been amazing. So the Suicune reveals that it has Shadow Ball. Next to the light screen, it actually does nothing. Now it comes the aforementioned Pult. Yeah, so I went for the Calm Mind here. Now, them bringing in Pult told me one of two things. They were either Choice Spec Shadow Ball, or they were like Dragon Dance Phantom Force. So they're gonna go for the Phantom Force. I was like, okay, well, the good thing about Phantom Force is that it's a 2-turn move, so I could always be able to go for any kind of move while the Dragapult sets up its move. They're gonna go for that Phantom Force. I don't have my Reflect up, but that is gonna do like a lot of damage. But thankfully, I have a Key Berry on this. This is a Calm Mind, Stored Power, Moonblast, and Moonlight set. I have the double moon moves, and I'm gonna go for that Moonblast. It just misses the kill on the Pult, but I knew that they really couldn't do much except for go for the Phantom Force on me. So I was like, this is great because, you know, oh my gosh, I just realized if they ever decide to give Dragapult a Poltergeist, that thing would be so broken. But thankfully they didn't do that. So even though it would make a lot of sense for it to have not Dragapult, yes, it would make a lot of sense for Dragapult to have Dragapult. No, I meant for it to have Poltergeist. I'm really messing up my narration. Welcome to my channel if you're new. So I'm gonna take out the Dragapult, and the Suicune is not really gonna have a way to damage me because I have a lot of Calm Mind boost, and I could just go for the Stored Power here. So they're gonna end up forfeiting the battle, but that was a really good game, honestly. I was able to make use of all of my sets. Into this next game. This game was pretty rough, and I don't say that because there's a Lycanroc lead. So I'm gonna lead things off with my Decidueye, kind of anticipating them to want to lead their Lycanroc here. So I'm gonna go for that Leaf Blade and take them all the way down to their Focus Sash. I kind of figured that they were running on this. I almost didn't include this game, by the way, but I kind of like, against my bitter judgment, I had to include it just because, like, well, you'll see. So they bring in the Porygon Z. I was like, damn, I actually went for Spirit Shackle that turn. That That was a really heinous play. So they're gonna go for the Shadow Ball on me. Thankfully, I do live that thanks to my natural bulk. So I was like, okay, well, I could go for the Leaf Blade here. And Leaf Blade just barely misses the KO on the Porygon Z. I was like, dang, that got super close. So I was like, well, I should be able to take whatever hit this Torracat. Well, I should be able to take what dude, the narration is crazy. I should be able to take whatever hit this Porygon Z goes for me and go for the Fire Blast, and I missed my freaking Fire Blast. Come on, that would have been KO'd. Like I know I should have I probably should have went for Terra Blast that turn, but still, like that could have obviously like it would have been a normal type Terra Blast, which is really weak, and they would have got a free switching in whatever their Pokemon that they had to set up with. So this was actually a really annoying position because I didn't really want to bring in my Zacian right away versus this Pokemon. And like, obviously I couldn't bring in my Cresselia versus the Shadow Balling. And like, I really didn't have a lot of Pokemon to really answer this. Like, okay, in hindsight, maybe I should have brought in my Ceruledge to like deal with this because I'm running Scarf on it. They might not have anticipated that, but like, I really didn't have a lot of options to deal with this Pokemon. It was going to do a lot of damage versus me. So I'm just going to opt to set up my dual screens. This is where I make another misplay, by the way. So I'm going to bring in my Ceruledge here. I was anticipating them to want to go for like a Swords Dance or like I don't know, maybe like a Bullet Punch, but they go for a knockoff on my switching. I was like, wow, dang, I'm like misplaying a heart at the moment. This is actually this is nuts. Also, that Scizor is named Peridot. That's actually a really funny coincidence because I'm well, let's just say I'm uploading a Pokemon team soon that features that character. So I'm gonna go for the Flare Blitz on the Blastoise. I'm not running a Bitter Blade on this. I just going for the Flare Blitz just because it did the most amount of damage because I'm running Choice Scarf on this and I wanted the most amount of damage possible. So I'm just going to take myself out there with the Flare Blitz recoil. I didn't want Porygon Z coming in again on my Poltergeist considering that they knocked off my Choice Scarf. So that's why I just continuously went for the Flare Blitz on the Blastoise. So they're going to go for the Hydro Pump versus me again. I was wondering if this was like Shell Smash or what. I'm just going to go for the Calm Mind. I was like, well, I have free setup on this Pokemon at the very least. If they do set up Shell Smashes, I could be able to at least match their boosts. But they're going to swap out their Blastoise. So I was like, okay, well, I just went for the Calm Mind again this turn. And in comes the Porygon Z again. So I was like, oh, okay. They went hard out into this Pokemon. I know for a fact that this Pokemon is probably choiced. And they're more than likely going to go for the Trick here. So obviously, I do not want my Cresselia getting tricked to Choice Scarf or a Choice Specs. Because then that would completely neuter my Cresselia. I was pretty much relying on that Pokemon to sweep in the end game. So I'm going to bring in my Zacian here on the Trick. I'm going to get hurt by the Stealth Rock. And I'm going to have my ability proc, which is nice. And Porygon Z does go for Trick. So I was like, okay, that's a free switch in. And I know that they're locked into a Trick, so I can probably go for a Swords Dance here because they really don't have a lot of Pokemon that could switch into like Behemoth Blade or anything. So at the very least, I could force a KO on my opponent. So I'm going to go for the Swords Dance here. I'm +3 attack now, so I should be able to completely neuter whatever they have. So I assume they're going to sacrifice this Blastoise though. So I'm just going to go for the Behemoth Blade and take out the Blastoise. But yeah, this Pokemon was like, I probably said this in too early. So, like I said, I only battled teams that had like legendary Pokemon, and it was funny because like we both had like one legendary Pokemon on our teams, and like the rest of them were like non-legendary. I thought that was pretty interesting. So they're gonna Terrasilize their Rayquaza into the Steel type. Now, there wasn't really much I could do. I only had like Behemoth Blade, and obviously I didn't want to Terra Blast Ground on their swap because well, they're a flying type. What if they didn't even Terra? What if they were like Focus Sash, right? So they're going to go for the Earthquake here. They're going to do a lot of damage to me to barely miss out on the KO. Now, I figured that this Rayquaza had extreme speed, but I didn't really want to swap in any of my other Pokemon to that, considering that they were Life Orb. I'd rather just have my Zacian go down and the Rayquaza go down to Life Orb. It's funny because we had both of our Uber Pokemon go down at the same turn. I think that was a pretty funny coincidence. So down goes the Rayquaza, so I was like, well, there goes their biggest threat on their team. But I still had to worry about like a lot of crazy Pokemon like Scizor and Iron Valiant that they had in the back. And this thing, which causes me a lot of trouble. So I was like, well, I might as well set up my screens again because of the fact that I need them for my Cresselia. They're going to go for the Trick on my Tinkaton. So I was like, you know, that's not the worst thing in the world. Like I have... obviously my Light Clay is going to get tricked away, but at the very least my Cresselia isn't going to get tricked to Choice. Like a choice item. So that's good. I'm going to be able to set up the light screen and swap out instantly here. Now, I was like, well, they might go for Shadow Ball here because obviously I'm not going to be able to stay in, and I only have my Decidueye and my Cresselia left. Now, I saved my Decidueye in the back because obviously I was anticipating I wanted to switch in versus Valiant, like Iron Valiant on that because I have like Custap Berry, and with the Stealth Rock I'll be in the Overgrow range, which will allow me to do massive damage versus the Iron Valiant, and they won't expect it because I'm Custap Berry. So they get a special defense drop on Shadow Ball, unfortunately, and they're gonna continuously go for the Shadow Ball. Thankfully, the light screen was up. Otherwise, I'd be in a really bad position. So I'm gonna go for the Moonlight here. I'm running Terra Electric on this as well, just so that I have like no real weaknesses, and also I can't get paralyzed. Ooh. So the Porygon Z is gonna swap out and into the Lycanroc. Now, when they swapped out earlier, I was like, well, there's one reason why this Lycanroc would obviously want to swap out, and it's because they have, you know, Lycanroc typically when they're lead, they run Endeavor with Accelerock so that the opponent could get taken down to 1 health. So this turn I was like, well, the Lycanroc is always going to outspeed me, and I don't really want to go for the Steel Beam right now versus this thing. So I'm going to paralyze it with the Thunder Wave just in case they do get the Endeavor off. They get paralyzed. I was like, okay, that's nice. Now, like I said, I was anticipating the Endeavor to come off here. So I was like, well, I could swap into my Decidueye here and then make a swap back out into my Tinkaton because I locked myself into Thunder Wave. There really wasn't much I could do. And they go for the Endeavor. So I was like, okay, this is nice. I could swap back out into my Tinkaton here. And if they go for Endeavor again, or if they're more than likely, I anticipate them to want to go for the Accelerock, I can lock myself into Steel Beam and take out the Lycanroc. And then I will be able to get a switch out into my Cresselia versus the Porygon Z. That was my thought process anyway. I was trying my best to get back into this game because the beginning of the game was absolutely rough. Steel Beam misses though. I was like, oh, that's actually so bad. So there goes my Tinkaton. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world, but like, it sucks to get. I got so many misses this game. This is crazy. So I'm gonna bring in my Cresselia versus the Lycanroc. I'm gonna take it out with the Moonblast. I accidentally made a cut in the video. My bad. But essentially, I just brought in my Cresselia here to take out the Lycanroc. So into the Porygon Z, I was like, well, they have Tri-Attack. It's gonna do a lot of damage, but I should be able to like heal it off. But I get frozen by Tri-Attack. What is this battle? Oh my gosh, that's actually crazy. I could have. I would have been able to okay, my thought process here was I was going to heal, and then if they were continuously going to go for, I like how they get a special defense drop on Shadow Ball, by the way. I was gonna be able to heal and then take out the dang Porygon Z, and then I might not have won this battle. I might have brought it down to a 1-0 because like the Scizor really couldn't threaten me because unless they were like Swords Dance. But even then I had my Key Berry and I do have Stored Power. I don't know. I don't want this battle to be a battle where I'm like, oh man, I won if there wasn't hacks. Because I admit, there was definitely some misplays that I did throughout this battle. And I think the main reason that I'm uploading this battle that I'm showing you all to you is because I'm still in that phase of doing these Pokemon theme teams. I get a cheeky KO against the Porygon Z, that's nice. But I do, like I said, I had to use up my Custap Berry, but I am still in this phase where I'm still starting out with these battles and I'm still improving. So I need to upload these games in order to show that I'm not like perfect. Obviously, like I can't just upload wins that I get. Like I need to show that I do get a lot of losses when I do these Pokemon theme teams, and it's rough out here for me. But I hope you all enjoyed both of these games. Crit knockoff just to end off the thing. By the way, I'm not complaining. I still think it was fun. I'll try to have fun when I'm doing these Pokemon theme teams because I'm aware I'm at a huge disadvantage when I use them. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.